You ever find yourself scrolling through your feed and just think, where is everybody else? Well, today, we're going to dive into the fascinating psychology of why some people choose to stay almost completely invisible online.
Okay, picture this. You're at this incredible concert. The music is just perfect, and you see a sea of phones up recording every single second. But then you spot them. That one person, no phone in sight, just watching, taking it all in. So what's their deal? Are they missing out? Or maybe they figured out something the rest of us haven't.
Now, it's easy to just label them as antisocial or maybe a little old-fashioned, but the real reason? Oh, it's so much more interesting. It's rooted deep in our psychology, all about how we see ourselves, the world, and our tiny little place in it. All right, first up, let's talk about something we'll call the validation equation. This is all about a really fundamental question. Where do we actually get our sense of worth and satisfaction from? See, this really comes down to two totally different sources of validation. On one hand, you've got external validation. That's pretty much the currency of social media, right? It's that rush you get from likes, comments, and shares. But on the other hand, there's internal validation, and that's a whole different ballgame. That's finding the joy in the experience itself. That person at the concert, their reward is the music, the moment, not the notifications that might pop up later. And, this all plugs right into a core human need. Social validation. That's our deep-seated desire to feel like we belong. For a lot of people, social media is the main tool for getting that feeling. But for folks who post less, it's not that they don't have this need. They're probably just getting it fulfilled offline, in their face-to-face relationships and communities.
And this reliance on offline validation, it often comes from having a completely different approach to boundaries, especially our digital ones.
I love this slide because it just illustrates the mindset perfectly. A public park, well, it's open for everyone to wander through. But a private garden? That's curated, it's personal, and you only let certain people in. For people who don't post, their personal life isn't some public park for everyone to see. It's their own private garden that they choose to share with just a select few.
So what does that actually look like in practice? Well, it means making an active choice to keep your personal life private. It's all about wanting to control your own story, deciding exactly who gets to know what. These people often really dislike broadcasting big life events and have a super high awareness of where their private self ends and the public world begins. This leads us to another really fascinating way to look at social media, as a kind of giant digital stage with two very different roles you can choose to play. So on this stage, you've pretty much got two main roles. You've got the performers, the people who love sharing, who are carefully curating an identity, and who actively engage with their audience. And then you've got the observers. They'd much rather watch, learn, and consume information from the sidelines, far away from the spotlight. And it's so important to get this. Neither role is better than the other. They're just different and totally valid ways of being online.
And this isn't just a casual phrase we're throwing around. There's actually a concept for it. The observer personality. It's a completely normal way of being. We're talking about people who get genuine value from watching and learning, instead of from participating and being seen.
Okay, let's get into a little brain science, because a huge part of this story is happening right inside our heads. We're talking about the dopamine loop.
It's a super simple but incredibly powerful cycle. Step 1, you post something. Step 2, ping, you get a notification, a like, a comment. Step 3, your brain releases a nice little hit of dopamine, that feel-good chemical. And step 4, that reward makes you want to do it all over again. So what's the deal with people who don't post? Does that mean they have some kind of superhuman willpower? Well, probably not. It might just be that their brains are wired a little differently. For them, that ping from a notification just doesn't trigger the same rewarding dopamine hit. So the urge to repeat the whole cycle, it's just naturally weaker. And that brings us to our final and maybe the most profound reason of all. It connects everything we've just talked about back to one single central idea, our own sense of self.
For many of us, social media is a tool for what you might call identity broadcasting. It's a way to send signals to the world about who we are, what we believe, the kind of life we live, our achievements, and where we fit in socially.
And here's the key insight, the real takeaway. If you have a strong, stable, internal sense of who you are, you might feel less of a need to constantly put it out there for public reinforcement. Your identity is already solid on its own. It doesn't need likes or shares to feel real to you. So, in a world that is constantly shouting, share everything, choosing not to post isn't just silence. It's a psychological statement. It's a quiet,
but really powerful declaration about where you find your validation, where you draw your boundaries, and ultimately how you define yourself. It kind of makes you wonder, what statement are you making with your online presence?